The booth smells like burnt coffee and that industrial disinfectant they use in gas station bathrooms. You know, the kind, supposed to smell like pine but mostly just burns your nose. Been breathing it for 3 years now, ever since the divorce papers got finalized and I needed steady work that came with health insurance. Toll collecting on the Lake Pontchartrain Causeway isn't exactly what you put on your high school dream board, but it pays the bills. Most days. My name's Ethan Rourke, and I've got the 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. shift on the northbound toll plaza. 24 miles of concrete stretching across the lake like some kind of industrial prayer. Longest bridge over water in the world, according to the tourism brochures. Locals just call it the Causeway, like it's the only bridge that matters. Which around here it pretty much is. The morning started normal enough. Coffee from the Shell station, dark roast, 2 sugars, splash of that artificial creamer that tastes like vanilla-flavored plastic. Same breakfast sandwich I've eaten probably 1,000 times. Egg, cheese, sausage on a biscuit that's always either too hot or stone cold, never in between. The radio was playing some talk show about conspiracy theories, which I usually turn off because frankly, real life's crazy enough without making stuff up. But I left it on today because the guy was talking about biotech labs, and that reminded me of Emma. My daughter, she's 17 now, senior year, wants to study biochemistry at Tulane. Smart as hell, that kid. Smarter than her old man, anyway. Gets that from her mother's side, along with the stubborn streak and the way she bites her lip when she's concentrating on homework. Emma's staying with Lisa this week, my ex-wife, not that the ex part ever feels real. Still feels like I'm married sometimes, like I'm just working a long shift, and I'll come home to dinner and homework help and all the normal stuff that normal families do. But Lisa's got the house now, the one we bought when Emma was 10, and we thought we had everything figured out. I check my phone, 7:23 a.m., Tuesday morning. Emma's got her SAT prep class today after school. Texted me yesterday asking if I could pick her up, give her a ride home. Of course I said yes. It's a 40-minute drive from the Causeway to her school, but I'd drive to Texas if she asked. The first car of the morning rolls up, white Camry with a dent in the passenger side door and a coexist bumper sticker that's seen better days. Lady behind the wheel looks like she hasn't slept, which makes 2 of us. Been having trouble sleeping since the nightmares started. Nothing dramatic, just wrong things. Dreams about the lake rising, about cars floating, about bridges that go on forever with no land on either end. Morning, I say, sliding open the booth window. October morning in Louisiana, still warm enough that the booth's AC is running. $3. She hands me exact change, doesn't make eye contact. People don't, usually. I'm part of the infrastructure like a parking meter or a stop sign. Something you acknowledge but don't really see. Used to bother me, but I've gotten used to it. Invisible is better than noticed sometimes. Have a good one, I call after her, but she's already driving away, probably thinking about work or groceries or whatever normal problems normal people have on Tuesday mornings. More cars start coming, the early commuter crowd, people who work in the city but live on the North Shore because the houses are cheaper and the schools are better. I know the regulars by now, even if they don't know me. Blue pickup with the Saints decal, who always pays with quarters. Red minivan with the soccer mom, who drinks coffee from a travel mug the size of a small bucket. Black sedan with tinted windows, and a driver who never turns off his engine. But there's something different about this morning. Can't put my finger on it. Maybe it's the way the fog's hanging over the lake, thicker than usual, or how quiet the radio chatter is on the maintenance frequency. The guy in the next booth over, Marcus, he keeps looking south toward the main span like he's waiting for something. Marcus has been working the Causeway longer than anyone, 15 years, seen everything from spring break idiots to hurricane evacuations. Around 8:15, things get weird. First sign is the radio crackle from the Bridge Operations Center. Not the usual traffic report or maintenance update, but voices talking fast and low, like they don't want to be overheard. I adjust the volume, trying to catch what they're saying, but it's all broken up by static and technical jargon I don't understand. Second sign is the cars. They're backing up on the south side, more than usual for morning rush hour. I can see them through my binoculars, dots of color stretching back toward the shore like Christmas lights. But they're not moving. Not at all. Third sign is the helicopter. Military helicopter, flying low over the water, close enough that I can feel the thump of the rotors in my chest. It circles the bridge twice, then heads back south. 5 minutes later, another one. Then another. My phone rings. Unknown number, but I answer it anyway because sometimes Emma calls from a friend's phone. Ethan? It's a woman's voice, official sounding. Yeah, this is Ethan. Who's this? This is Lisa Lane, Causeway Commission Emergency Coordinator. We need you to stop taking tolls immediately and prepare for bridge closure. Bridge closure? What's going on? There's been an incident. I need you to. The line goes dead. I try calling back, but the number goes straight to a recording that says the cellular circuits are busy. That's when I notice my hands are shaking, just a little, like when you've had too much coffee or not enough sleep. Marcus is waving at me from his booth, gesturing toward the south end of the bridge. I grab my binoculars and look. The fog's starting to clear, and I can see the main span now. There are cars stopped all along it, doors open, people standing around like they're at some kind of impromptu tailgate party. But something's wrong with the picture. The people aren't moving right, they're stumbling, falling down, getting back up again. And there's smoke rising from somewhere near the middle of the bridge, black smoke that doesn't look like it's coming from a car accident. A white panel van comes speeding toward my booth, first vehicle I've seen moving in 10 minutes. The driver's a young guy, maybe early 20s, and he's pale as paper. "Sir," he says when I open the window. "Sir, you need to get out of here. There's something wrong with the people back there." "There." He stops, looks over his shoulder at the bridge. "They're sick. Real sick. Attacking people." "Attacking people? What do you mean?" "I mean biting. Clawing. Like they're rabid or something." He's fumbling for his wallet, trying to pay the toll with hands that won't stop shaking. "Please, just let me through. I got to get home to my kids." I wave him through without taking his money. Protocol says I'm supposed to charge everyone, but protocol also says the bridge doesn't close except for hurricanes or major accidents. And this doesn't feel like either of those things. More vehicles start coming. A few cars, a couple motorcycles, people driving fast and not stopping to chat. Everyone's got the same look, scared and trying not to show it. Like when Emma was little and would pretend she wasn't afraid of thunderstorms, but I could see it in her eyes. The radio crackles again. This time it's clear. "All toll booth operators, this is Bridge Command. Cease operations immediately and evacuate to the North Shore. Repeat, evacuate to the North Shore." This is not a drill. That's when I see the smoke on the horizon, rising from the South Shore like someone lit a bonfire the size of a city block. And that's when I hear the sound, low and rumbling, like thunder but constant. Like helicopters. Lots of them. I'm reaching for my keys, ready to lock up the booth and get the hell out of here, when I see the car. Black Honda Accord, racing toward the toll plaza fast enough that the driver's probably going to clip one of the concrete barriers. It skids to a stop at my window, and the driver leans out. It's a woman, maybe 45, wearing scrubs like she works at a hospital. Her face is streaked with something dark, could be dirt, could be blood, and her eyes are wide with the kind of panic you see in disaster movies. "They blew the south end," she says. "Military. They blew the south end of the bridge." "What? Missiles or something?" "The whole toll plaza's gone. Cars, people, everything." She's crying now, but still trying to drive, hands gripping the steering, like it's the only thing keeping her sane. There's something in the water. Some kind of chemical spill. People are getting sick, and then they're not people anymore. Behind her, I can see more cars coming, a whole convoy of them, driving fast and close together like they're trying to outrun something. And behind them, way back on the main span, there's something else. Movement. Lots of it. "Lady, you need to." The sound hits us like a physical thing. Explosion. Massive explosion from the North Shore, behind me, where I was supposed to evacuate to. The ground shakes, windows rattle, and when I turn around I can see a fireball rising into the morning sky. They blew both ends. We're trapped. The math is simple and terrible. 24 miles of bridge, with maybe 200 cars and trucks scattered along it, and now both ends are gone. Blown to pieces by our own military, which means whatever's happening here is bad enough that the government decided killing everyone on the bridge was better than letting anyone get off it. I've been standing outside my toll booth for 10 minutes now, watching the smoke rise from both horizons, trying to process what the woman in the Honda told me. Chemical spill. People getting sick. Not people anymore. What the hell does that mean? Marcus walks over, his face grim. He's a big guy, used to work construction before his back gave out, and right now he looks like someone just told him his house burned down. "Ethan," he says, "we got a problem." "Yeah, I figured that much." "No, I mean a bigger problem. Look." He hands me his binoculars and points south, toward the main span. I adjust the focus and look. At first, all I see are abandoned cars and smoke. Then I see the people, dozens of them, maybe hundreds, walking north along the bridge deck. But they're not walking like people should walk. They're stumbling, weaving, falling down and getting back up. And even from this distance, I can see that some of them are covered in blood. Jesus Christ. Gets worse, Marcus says. Radio chatters saying there was some kind of lab under the bridge. Biotech research facility, built into the supports about halfway across. Something got out. Something that makes people sick. How sick? Sick like they try to bite other people. Sick like they don't stop when you tell them to stop. Sick like... He trails off, shaking his head. My daughter works at Turo Infirmary. She texted me before the cell towers went down. Said they had people coming in with bite wounds, aggressive behavior, complete breakdown of higher brain function. Hospital went into lockdown. A new sound cuts through the air, helicopters again, but closer. Military choppers, flying in formation along the bridge. One of them has speakers and a voice echoes across the water, distorted but clear enough. Attention. The Lake Pontchartrain Causeway is under quarantine. Do not attempt to leave the bridge. Medical assistance is being coordinated. Remain calm and stay with your vehicles. Medical assistance my ass, Marcus mutters. They just blew both ends of the bridge. He's right, but I don't say it out loud. Because if he's right, then we're all dead. And I've got promises to keep. Promised Emma I'd pick her up from SAT prep. Promised myself I'd be a better father than I've been a husband. The convoy of cars that came from the south is pulling into the toll plaza now. Drivers getting out and looking around like they're waiting for someone to tell them what to do. About 15 vehicles total, mix of sedans, SUVs, and one pickup truck with Louisiana State University decals. People start clustering together, talking in low voices, everyone looking scared but trying to hide it. The woman from the Honda walks over to me. Up close, I can see that the dark streaks on her face are definitely blood, but it doesn't look like it's hers. Are you in charge here? She asks. No, ma'am. I just collect tolls. Well, someone needs to be in charge because those things on the bridge are going to get here eventually, and we need to figure out what we're going to do about it. Things. She said things, not people. Ma'am, I'm sorry. I didn't catch your name. Rebecca Martinez. I was a nurse at East Jefferson General, until an hour ago when everything went to hell. She wipes her face with the back of her hand, smearing the blood. What's your name? Ethan Rourke. Okay, Ethan. How many people do you think are on this bridge right now? I do the math in my head. Morning rush hour, but not peak. Maybe 200 cars total, average of 1.3 people per vehicle based on the traffic studies they do every year. Maybe 300 people, give or take. And how many of them do you think are going to be dead by tonight if we don't do something? It's the kind of question that doesn't have a good answer, so I don't try to give one. Instead, I look south again toward the main span. The walking figures are closer now, close enough that I can see they're covered in more than just blood. Their clothes are torn, their movements are wrong, and some of them are making sounds. Not words, just sounds. What exactly happened at your hospital? I ask. Rebecca takes a deep breath. Started about 6 a.m. Ambulances bringing in people with bite wounds. Paramedics said they found them in the industrial canal area, near some kind of construction site. Patients were agitated, combative, but not responsive to sedatives. Then they started biting the medical staff. Within an hour, we had 30 people exhibiting similar symptoms. Hospital admin called it a mass casualty event and initiated lockdown protocols. You said biting. I said biting. Human bites, but aggressive. Like they were trying to tear flesh, not just injure. And the weird thing is, anyone who got bitten started showing symptoms within minutes. Fever, aggression, loss of speech, loss of fine motor control. She pauses, looking at the bridge. I've seen drug overdoses, alcohol poisoning, psychiatric episodes. This isn't any of those things. A man walks over, older guy, maybe 60, wearing an LSU golf shirt and khakis. Looks like a professor or maybe a retiree who plays golf 3 times a week. Excuse me, he says, but did I hear you talking about the hospital situation? I'm Dr. James Aber, infectious diseases. Tulane Medical School. Rebecca's eyes light up a little, the way they do when you find someone who might actually know what's going on. Doctor, have you heard anything about what's causing this? Some. I was at the university when the emergency broadcast started. CDC sent out a flash alert about a possible biocontainment breach in the New Orleans area. Something about a research facility conducting work on behavioral modifications in infected host organisms. Behavioral modifications? Think rabies but engineered. Faster transmission, more aggressive symptoms, targeted neural pathways. Dr. Hebert looks toward the main span, where the walking figures are getting closer. If I had to guess, I'd say someone was trying to weaponize a pathogen that affects higher brain functions while leaving basic motor control intact. Weaponize? I ask. Make it into a biological weapon. Create infected individuals who maintain enough physical capability to spread the infection, but lose the cognitive ability to resist or seek treatment. The helicopters are back, circling lower now. I can see markings on them, military, but also CDC and some other agencies I don't recognize. One of them sets down on the bridge deck about a quarter-mile south of the toll plaza, and people in hazmat suits get out. Attention bridge personnel. The loudspeaker crackles again. Remain in place. Medical teams are establishing a secure perimeter. Do not approach the containment zone. Containment zone, Marcus says. That's what they call it when they're planning to kill everyone inside it. Dr. Hebert nods grimly. Standard protocol for biocontainment is to establish a perimeter and neutralize all potentially infected individuals. Neutralize? Shoot them. The reality of our situation settles over the group like a lead blanket. We're trapped on a bridge with infected people walking toward us from one direction and military personnel who might shoot us if we approach from the other direction. And somewhere in the middle, there's a research facility that created this mess in the first place. My phone buzzes, text message. For a second, my heart jumps, thinking it might be Emma. But it's from Lisa. Emma safe at school. They're in lockdown. Military checkpoint at Parish Line. I love you. Be careful. I stare at the message for a long time. Emma's safe. That's something. That's everything, actually. But she's also 40 miles away, and there's a biocontainment perimeter around the entire area, and I'm trapped on a bridge with people who might not be people anymore. We need a plan, Rebecca says. Yeah, I agree. But first, we need to figure out how much time we have. I look south through the binoculars. The walking figures are maybe a mile away now, moving slowly but steadily. At their current pace, they'll reach the toll plaza in about 2 hours. 2 hours to figure out how to survive the night. 2 hours to find a way home to my daughter. The plan we come up with isn't much of a plan, but it's what we've got. Fortify the toll plaza, establish communication with the outside world, and try to figure out if there's another way off this bridge that doesn't involve getting shot by the military or eaten by whatever those things are walking toward us. Dr. Hebert thinks our best option is to reach the research facility. If this started there, he says, then that's where we'll find answers. Maybe even a cure. Easy for him to say. He's not the one who has to figure out how to get 300 people across a bridge that's crawling with infected and surrounded by military checkpoints. Marcus and I are moving cars to create a barrier across the northbound lanes when Rebecca comes running over with a radio in her hand. I got through to someone, she says, breathing hard. FEMA coordinator in Baton Rouge. They're calling it a Level 5 biocontainment event. What's Level 5? I ask. Total quarantine. Nothing gets in, nothing gets out, until the threat is neutralized. She hands me the radio. They want to talk to whoever's in charge. I look at Marcus, who shrugs. I look at Dr. Hebert, who's busy examining one of the abandoned cars for supplies. I look at the 24 people who've been looking at me like I'm supposed to have answers. I collect tolls, I say. I'm not in charge of anything. You are now, Rebecca says. I take the radio. The voice on the other end is calm, professional, and completely terrifying in its matter-of-fact delivery of bad news. This is Colonel Sarah Matthews, FEMA Region 6. Who am I speaking with? Ethan Rourke. I work the toll booth. Mr. Rourke, I need to apprise you of the current situation. At approximately 0800 hours this morning, a biocontainment breach occurred at a classified research facility located beneath the Lake Pontchartrain Causeway. The pathogen in question is a modified strain of rabies with enhanced transmission properties and accelerated symptom onset. Colonel, how many people are we talking about? How many infected? Unknown at this time. Initial exposure may have involved 30 to 40 individuals. Secondary infections are spreading rapidly throughout the metropolitan area. We have initiated full biocontainment protocols, which means no one leaves the containment zone until the threat is eliminated. Colonel, there are kids on this bridge, families, people who aren't infected. I understand, Mr. Rourke. We're working on evacuation protocols for uninfected individuals. But right now, our priority is preventing this from spreading beyond the current perimeter. The radio crackles, and I can hear other voices in the background, people talking fast in military jargon about perimeter integrity and casualty estimates. Mr. Rourke, are you still there? Yeah, I'm here. I need you to maintain order among the civilian population. Keep people calm, keep them in place, and report any signs of infection immediately. Medical teams are en route. How will we know if someone's infected? Early symptoms include fever, aggression, loss of verbal communication, and compulsive biting behavior. Once symptoms manifest, individuals should be considered highly dangerous and avoided at all costs. The transmission ends, leaving me holding a radio full of static and surrounded by people who are looking at me like I'm supposed to tell them everything's going to be okay. But everything's not going to be okay, because the infected figures on the main span are getting closer, and the military helicopters are getting more numerous. And somewhere beneath our feet, there's a laboratory full of weaponized rabies that someone decided to build under the longest bridge in Louisiana. Dr. Hebert walks over, carrying a toolbox he found in one of the abandoned maintenance vehicles. Ethan, I've been thinking about what Colonel Matthews said. A research facility beneath the bridge. What about it? I've worked with NIH, CDC, some private contractors. That kind of research doesn't happen in a basement somewhere. It requires serious infrastructure. Containment systems, air filtration, waste processing. He points down at the bridge deck beneath our feet. If there's a facility under here, it's big, and it's connected to something onshore. Rebecca joins us, looking grim. I just talked to some of the people who came from the south end. They said there were construction crews working on the bridge supports for the past 6 months. Official story was seismic retrofitting, but unofficially, they were building something, installing equipment, running cables, bringing in materials that didn't look like construction supplies. I think about the months of traffic delays, the long stretches where cars had to merge into single lanes while crews worked on the support structure. Everyone complained about it, but nobody questioned it. Because why would you? It's Louisiana. Bridges are always under construction. So there's a secret government lab under the bridge, and something got out, I say. That's what we're dealing with. Not just something, Dr. Hebert corrects. Someone. This pathogen doesn't spread itself. It needs human vectors. Human vectors? People. Infected people who bite other people. Each new infection creates another vector for transmission. He looks toward the main span, where we can now see individual figures moving between the abandoned cars. And based on what we've observed, the incubation period is extremely short, maybe minutes instead of days. A new sound cuts through the air, not helicopters this time, but engines. Big engines coming from the north. I look through the binoculars and see them. Military vehicles driving across the bridge from what's left of the North Shore. 3 Humvees and what looks like a mobile command unit. Looks like the cavalry's coming, Marcus says. But something about their approach doesn't feel like rescue. They're moving fast, and there are people running alongside the vehicles. People in hazmat suits carrying weapons. The radio crackles again. Mr. Rourke, this is Colonel Matthews. Be advised. Containment teams are approaching your position. Comply with all instructions from field personnel. What kind of instructions? Medical screening of all individuals in your area. Anyone showing signs of infection will be detained for treatment. The way she says treatment makes my skin crawl. The military convoy pulls into the toll plaza, and soldiers in full NBC gear, nuclear, biological, chemical protection, get out and start setting up a perimeter. Their leader, a captain according to his rank insignia, approaches our group with a scanner of some kind. Everyone needs to line up for medical screening, he announces through his suit's speaker system. Temperature check, blood sample, behavioral assessment. Blood sample? Rebecca asks. What for? Detection of pathogen markers. Standard protocol. But Dr. Hebert steps forward, and I can see the concern in his eyes. Captain, what happens to individuals who test positive? They're transported to a medical facility for treatment. What medical facility? Everything within 50 miles is under quarantine. The captain's hesitation lasts about 2 seconds too long. That information is classified, and that's when I understand. There is no medical facility. There is no treatment. Anyone who tests positive is going to be eliminated on the spot, because that's what you do with infected vectors in a biocontainment situation. I look at the people around me, families with kids, elderly couples, college students who were just trying to get to class this morning. Normal people who happened to be in the wrong place when someone else's secret biological weapons program went sideways. And I think about Emma, safe at school but trapped on the other side of a military perimeter, wondering if her dad's ever coming home. Captain, I say, what if we refuse the screening? Refusal to comply with medical screening will be considered evidence of infection, which means they'll shoot us either way. That's when the screaming starts. The screaming comes from the south end of the toll plaza, where someone left a sedan running with the radio on. But it's not coming from the car, it's coming from the radio, a live news broadcast from New Orleans. Reports of widespread violence in the French Quarter and Garden District. Mayor's office has declared a state of emergency and is requesting federal assistance. Hospitals throughout the metro area are overwhelmed with casualties and the transmission cuts to static, then to dead air. The infected have reached the toll plaza. I see them first, 3 figures stumbling between the abandoned cars, moving toward the sound of our voices and the rumble of the military vehicles. Up close, they look like people who got caught in some kind of industrial accident. Torn clothing, blood everywhere, skin that's gone gray and mottled. But they're still walking, still moving with purpose, and when they see us they make sounds that aren't quite human. Contact, one of the soldiers shouts, and the plaza erupts into chaos. The military personnel start barking orders, telling everyone to get back, to stay calm, to remain in place for medical screening. But the infected are getting closer, and more of them are appearing from between the abandoned vehicles. A lot more. Dr. Hebert grabs my arm. Ethan, we need to get out of here. Now. Where? They blew both ends of the bridge. Not both ends. The research facility. It has to have an evacuation route. A gunshot echoes across the water. One of the soldiers firing at an infected person who got too close. The bullet hits center mass, but the infected person doesn't stop. Doesn't even slow down. Just keeps walking forward with a hole in its chest until another soldier puts 3 rounds in its head. They don't stop unless you destroy the brain, Rebecca shouts over the noise. Just like in the movies. Except this isn't a movie. This is a Tuesday morning in Louisiana, and I'm trapped on a bridge with biological weapons that used to be people, and my daughter is waiting for me to pick her up from school. Marcus appears at my shoulder, carrying a tire iron from one of the maintenance vehicles. Ethan, we got to move. These military boys aren't here to rescue anyone. He's right. The soldiers are forming a firing line, and they're not just aiming at the infected. They're aiming at everyone, civilians, families, anyone who might be a potential vector. All civilians report for immediate medical screening, the captain announces again. Non-compliance will result in detention. I look around the toll plaza. There are maybe 30 people from our convoy, plus whatever civilians were already on the bridge. Kids crying, adults arguing, everyone scared and confused and looking for someone to tell them what to do. And there are infected streaming between the cars now, dozens of them, maybe hundreds, all walking toward the sound and motion of our little group. Rebecca, I say, how long until someone who gets bitten turns infected? Based on what I saw at the hospital, 5 to 10 minutes. And Dr. Hebert, if this pathogen was designed as a weapon, what's its kill ratio? In an uncontrolled outbreak, near 100% transmission rate within the infected population. Which means everyone on this bridge is either going to die from the infection or get shot by the military trying to contain it. But there's a third option, the research facility. If Dr. Hebert's right, if there's a lab beneath the bridge, then there has to be a way out. Scientists don't build underground facilities without escape routes. How far is the middle of the bridge? I ask Marcus. 12 miles, give or take. And how do we get down to whatever's underneath? Dr. Hebert points to a maintenance access panel about 50 feet away, near the base of one of the toll booth structures. Maintenance shafts. Every bridge this size has them for inspection and repairs. More gunshots. The soldiers are firing at infected now, but also at civilians who are trying to leave the screening area. I see a young woman go down, clutching her shoulder, while her boyfriend tries to help her up. That's it, I say. We're leaving. I start walking toward the access panel, and people begin following me. Rebecca, Dr. Hebert, Marcus, a couple with 2 kids, an elderly man with a cane, college students, working people, families. Anyone who realizes that staying here means dying here. Halt, the captain shouts. All civilians return to the screening area immediately. But we keep walking, because sometimes the only choice is between bad options and worse options, and getting shot while trying to escape is better than getting shot while standing still. The access panel is locked, but Marcus makes short work of it with his tire iron. Underneath is a ladder leading down into darkness, and the sound of machinery running, ventilation systems maybe, or power generators. Ladies first, I say to Rebecca, but she shakes her head. You're the one with the plan. You go first. So I do. I climb down into the darkness beneath the causeway, into a maintenance tunnel that's bigger than it should be, with lights that are brighter than they should be, and the sound of equipment that definitely shouldn't be running in a bridge inspection shaft. Behind me, I can hear gunfire and screaming as more people try to follow us down. Some make it, some don't. The tunnel leads south, toward the main span and whatever research facility someone built in the shadow of the longest bridge in Louisiana. The air smells like disinfectant and ozone and something else, something organic and wrong. As we walk, I check my phone one more time. No signal, but I still have the text from Lisa. Emma's safe at school. They're in lockdown. I love you. Be careful. I'm trying, I think. I'm trying to be careful, and I'm trying to get home, and I'm trying not to think about what happens if I don't make it back to pick Emma up from SAT prep. The tunnel curves ahead, following the path of the bridge above. And somewhere in the distance, there's light. Not maintenance lighting, but the bright, clean illumination of a laboratory. We're getting close. The research facility isn't what I expected. It's not some cramped underground bunker. It's a full-scale laboratory complex built into the support structure of the causeway, with clean corridors, observation rooms, and containment cells that look like something out of a science fiction movie. And it's completely empty. Jesus Christ, Marcus whispers as we emerge from the maintenance tunnel into what looks like a hospital lobby. How big is this place? Dr. Hebert examines the signage on the walls, directories pointing to different sections of the facility. Behavioral Research Division, Pathogen Development Lab, Animal Testing Facility, Human Trials Unit. He looks at me grimly. They weren't just studying this pathogen. They were perfecting it. Rebecca finds a computer terminal that's still active, showing surveillance feeds from different parts of the facility. Look at this, she says. Timestamps show the breach started at 0547 this morning. On the screens, we can see what happened. Researchers in hazmat suits working with infected subjects. Something going wrong in one of the containment cells. Alarms, emergency protocols, people running. And then in the final footage, infected individuals breaking out of their cells and attacking the research staff. They were using human subjects, Dr. Hebert says quietly. This wasn't just weapons research. This was human experimentation. I think about the missing persons reports you always see in the local news. People who disappear from homeless camps, runaway teenagers, addicts who no one looks for when they vanish. Perfect test subjects for someone who needs to experiment on humans without anyone asking questions. Ethan, Rebecca calls from another terminal. You need to see this. It's a communication log, showing messages between the facility and various government agencies. The last entry is from this morning, just after the breach. Containment failure. Initiating Protocol 7. Bridge termination authorized. Protocol 7? I ask. Dr. Hebert's face goes white. Complete sterilization. They're going to destroy the entire bridge. When? I ask, but I already know the answer's going to be bad. Rebecca scrolls through more messages. According to this, they're waiting for full evacuation of uninfected personnel. But, she stops, reading something that makes her face go pale. But if evacuation isn't possible within 12 hours of initial breach, they initiate immediate sterilization regardless of civilian casualties. 12 hours from 0547, Marcus calculates. That gives us until about 6 tonight. I check my watch, 2:47 p.m. Less than 4 hours. The facility's emergency lighting flickers, and somewhere in the distance we can hear the sound of metal groaning, the bridge structure above us shifting under stress. Whether it's from damage or from whatever they're planning to do to sterilize it, I don't know. There has to be another way out, I say. Scientists don't build underground labs without escape routes. Dr. Hebert nods toward a set of double doors marked Emergency Evacuation Route. That would be my guess. But when we try the doors, they're locked down tight. Electronic locks, requiring keycards we don't have. Can you bypass it? I ask Marcus. He examines the locking mechanism, shaking his head. This isn't some residential deadbolt, Ethan. This is serious security hardware. I'd need explosives or... He stops, looking at something on the wall nearby. Or one of those. It's a fire axe mounted in a glass case marked emergency use only. That'll do, I say, but Dr. Hebert grabs my arm. Wait, if this is really an evacuation route, there might be alarms. Security protocols. We break that glass, we might trigger lockdown procedures that make our situation worse. Rebecca's still at the computer terminal, scrolling through files. According to these records, the evacuation route leads to a boat dock built into the bridge supports. Hidden from aerial surveillance, accessible only from inside the facility. How far? Quarter mile through maintenance tunnels. But Ethan, she points at another file on the screen. Look at this. Personnel evacuation log from this morning. 23 researchers and security staff evacuated via the boat dock between 0600 and 0630. So the route works. The route works. But the last entry is at 0631. After that, the evacuation route was sealed from the outside. Which means even if we get to the boat dock, we might not be able to get out. But staying here isn't an option either. The facility's power systems are failing, the bridge above us is potentially going to be destroyed, and somewhere up there, infected people are still spreading a weaponized pathogen that turns human beings into walking biological weapons. I break the glass and grab the fire axe. The alarm that goes off is deafening, a klaxon that echoes through the facility corridors and probably alerts anyone within 10 miles that we're here. But the electronic locks on the evacuation route doors click open. Move, I shout over the alarm. Everyone move. We run through corridors that smell like disinfectant and death, past laboratories with broken containment glass and observation rooms with surveillance equipment still recording empty cells. Behind us, I can hear new sounds, mechanical sounds like ventilation systems shutting down and blast doors sealing. The facility is going into final lockdown. The evacuation tunnel is narrow, lined with pipes and electrical conduits, lit by emergency lighting that flickers with each step we take. Our group has dwindled. Only about 15 people made it this far. The couple with kids, Rebecca, Dr. Hebert, Marcus, a few others whose names I don't even know but who've been following me because I'm the guy with the axe and what passes for a plan. Ethan, Rebecca says as we walk, what are you going to do when we get out of here? Assuming we get out. It's a good question. Even if we reach the boat dock, even if we find a way across the lake, there's still a military perimeter around the entire area. Still infected people spreading through New Orleans. Still a government that's willing to blow up bridges full of civilians to contain a biological weapons program that they probably funded in the first place. I'm going to go get my daughter, I say. Whatever it takes. From her school? That's 40 miles from here, through a biocontainment zone. Yeah. She doesn't say anything else, but I can see the doubt in her eyes. The same doubt that's been eating at me since this morning. The possibility that I'm never going to see Emma again, never going to keep my promises, never going to be the father I should have been. The tunnel curves to the right, following the underside of the bridge structure. Through gaps in the walls, I can see water, Lake Pontchartrain stretching out in all directions, gray and choppy under the afternoon sky. And in the distance, smoke rising from the shoreline where New Orleans used to be a normal city, where normal people lived normal lives. We reach the boat dock at 3:47 p.m. It's built into a hollow section of the bridge supports, invisible from above, accessible only through the facility's evacuation tunnel. There are 3 boats moored there, military-style Zodiac rafts with outboard motors. Big enough to carry all of us, assuming the motors work and the boats haven't been sabotaged. But there's a problem. The dock's outer doors, the ones that open onto the lake, are sealed shut with what looks like military-grade explosive charges. Shaped charges, Marcus says, examining the setup. Designed to blow the doors inward, seal the dock permanently. Can you disarm them? I can try. But if I'm wrong? He shrugs. Well, you won't have time to complain about it. Dr. Hebert is checking the boat's fuel levels and engine systems. We've got fuel and the engines look functional. But even if we get the doors open, where do we go? The entire shoreline is under quarantine. I think about that for a moment. About Emma, safe at school but trapped behind military lines. About Lisa, probably scared out of her mind and waiting for word that I'm okay. About the promise I made to myself after the divorce, that I'd be a better father, that I'd be there when my family needed me. North Shore, I say. Past the quarantine line. Then we work our way back to get the people we care about. That's insane, Rebecca says. You're talking about crossing 30 miles of open water in a military quarantine zone, then somehow getting back through armed checkpoints. You got a better idea? She doesn't. None of us do. Marcus starts working on the explosive charges, carefully examining wires and detonators with tools he found in one of the boat's emergency kits. This is going to take time, he says. And if someone's monitoring the facility's security systems, they already know we're here. As if on cue, the facility's loudspeakers crackle to life. Attention unauthorized personnel in Evacuation Bay 3. You are in violation of federal quarantine protocols. Surrender immediately and prepare for medical screening. Colonel Matthews, I say, recognizing the voice from the radio earlier. That's right, Mr. Rourke. We've been tracking you since you left the toll plaza. The facility you've entered is contaminated with biological agents. For your own safety and the safety of others, you need to exit the facility and report for immediate medical screening. I pick up one of the boat radios and key the microphone. Colonel, what happens to people who test positive in your medical screening? They receive appropriate medical treatment. What kind of medical treatment? Long pause. Then, Mr. Rourke, I need you to understand that this pathogen has a near 100% fatality rate if left untreated. We're trying to save lives here. By blowing up bridges? By preventing a continental pandemic. The research conducted at this facility created something that could kill millions of people if it spreads beyond our containment perimeter. And there it is, the truth, or at least part of it. This isn't just about a few hundred people trapped on a bridge. This is about a biological weapon that could spread across the entire country if it gets loose. But I'm not thinking about the entire country. I'm thinking about one 17-year-old girl who's waiting for her dad to pick her up from SAT prep, who doesn't know that the world changed this morning, who still believes that parents come home and promises get kept. Marcus, I call. How much longer? 2 minutes. Maybe 3. The facility's lights flicker again, and this time they don't come back on. Emergency power only now, casting everything in a red glow that makes the water look like blood. Mr. Rourke, Colonel Matthews' voice continues, I'm going to be direct with you. In approximately 2 hours, this facility and the entire bridge structure are going to be destroyed by controlled demolition. Anyone still inside the perimeter will not survive. What about the civilians? The families? We're working on evacuation procedures for uninfected individuals. By shooting them? By maintaining quarantine integrity until a medical solution can be implemented. Which means they don't have a medical solution. They never did. The only solution is to kill everyone who might be infected and destroy all the evidence. Got it, Marcus shouts. Doors are ready. But when I trigger this, we need to be in the boats and moving. These charges are going to bring down half the dock. We pile into the boats, 5 people per Zodiac, engines running, lines cast off. Marcus hands me the detonator. Your show, Ethan. I look back at the facility one more time, at this secret laboratory where someone decided to weaponize human beings, where researchers experimented on people who had no voice and no one to speak for them, where the cure for one kind of horror became a different kind of horror. Then I think about Emma, and I push the button. The explosion is deafening in the confined space of the dock. The outer doors blow inward and outward simultaneously, twisted metal and concrete splashing into the lake. Water rushes into the dock as the Zodiac boats roar through the gap, engines at full throttle, spray flying. Behind us, the hidden research facility disappears back into the shadow of the Causeway. Above us, the bridge stretches into the distance, 24 miles of concrete and steel that someone's going to destroy in less than 2 hours. And ahead of us, across 30 miles of open water, is the north shore of Lake Pontchartrain and whatever comes next. I gun the engine and head north, toward home, toward Emma, toward promises that still need keeping. Even if the world ended this morning, some things don't change. Fathers still need to pick up their daughters from school. That's just how it is. The radio crackles one more time. Mr. Rourke, you are in violation of federal quarantine protocols. Return to the facility immediately. I turn off the radio and keep driving. Behind us, the causeway grows smaller in the distance, a thin line of concrete stretching across water that reflects the afternoon sky like broken glass. Somewhere on that bridge, people are still fighting for their lives against an infection that turns human beings into weapons. Somewhere in New Orleans, a biological disaster is spreading through neighborhoods where ordinary people woke up this morning thinking it was just another Tuesday. And somewhere ahead of us, past military checkpoints and quarantine perimeters, and all the official protocols designed to contain disasters like this one, my daughter is waiting. The boats are fast, and the lake is wide, and the afternoon is still young. There's time. There has to be time. Because the alternative, that I'll never see Emma again, never keep another promise, never get the chance to be the father I should have been, is unthinkable. So I don't think about it. I just drive north, toward shore, toward home, toward whatever's left of the world after biological weapons and government cover-ups and bridges that burn in the distance like funeral pyres. The engine roars. The water flies. The shore gets closer. And behind us, 24 miles of concrete and steel and secret laboratories sink slowly back into Lake Pontchartrain, carrying their secrets down into the dark water where nobody will ever find them. Just another day in Louisiana. Just another bridge that couldn't hold the weight of what people built on it. Just another father trying to get home to his daughter before the world ends completely. The radio stays off. The engine stays loud. The shore gets closer with every mile. There's still time. There has to be.